Welcome to our Hermes post-launch call. If you are new to Subcree or Hermes, we usually always host a community call in kind of the first week of every month is the usual time, around this time. But we're doing a special call just focusing on Hermes this call. So there's some like usual general updates that we do in our community calls that we're not covering off today. This is all about the Hermes BitTensor subnet launch that we launched on Thursday, 15th of January last week. I've been battling with my lighting here. I cannot get rid of this stream of light no matter what I do. So the spotlight is on me. Sorry about that. Just letting people flow in. Just want to find the chat. Okay. Ideally, someone let me know that you can hear me. Otherwise, I just assume and go full steam ahead. But I can see we have a few people in here. So we'll get started soon. Okay. Just going to ask in the chat if everyone can hear me because there's usually a bit more action going in the chat stream, so I'm worried that people can't hear me, but we will get started very soon. Okay, I've had confirmation that you can hear me, so I'm going to get started. I think people will continue to flow in. So, as I said, we launched a BitTensor subnet called Hermes. We being Subcree. I'm here today representing both Subcree and Hermes because we had the same team behind Subcree has built Hermes. Now, I know there's a bit of concern and tension in the BitTensor community about dual token projects. So we're going to cover that off in this call today and just make it really clear that the only real overlap is the team and the two products are separate. So for the subquery community who have been with us a long time, you might be less familiar with BitTensor. So I'll just cover a little bit about what BitTensor is. But hopefully you've heard of them because they've had a lot of really good traction and hype over the last couple of years with genuine use cases and a really cool blockchain technology application. So it's a decentralized network that incentivizes the creation and improvement of AI models. It uses a blockchain-based incentive system where independent participants compete and collaborate to produce high-quality machine intelligence, and they earn rewards based on the real-world usefulness of their contributions. So that's kind of a lot of words, but essentially it kind of facilitates the infrastructure required for teams to come in and build what's called subnets, which are kind of these individual networks, but using the same kind of foundation layer of BitTensor and mechanisms. And I actually watched a really nice, simple video on it. You can check out. I retweeted it on my personal Twitter. Shameless plug. But it really broke it down super simply, just about how basically people are coming in and creating these little mini competitions, and their miners are competing in these competitions to be the best at whatever that AI application is, and then earning rewards based off of that. So there's one, I believe there's a BitTensor subnet about weather predictions, and miners compete to predict the weather, and then the miners that most correctly or accurately predict that weather earn rewards. All right. On to the next. Okay, so what is Hermes and why it matters? So let's just give the quick overview of what it is. Again, this call is kind of to go through everything you need to know. If you are new here, if you you didn't read the announcement, you can just tune in and listen to me for a little bit. Essentially it's the bridge between AI and blockchain data. or the messenger, so to speak. So Hermes was a messenger god. That's where the name comes from. It's that connection between the two worlds that are AI and blockchain data. So it's a subnet on the BitTensor network, as I mentioned, which means, like I said, we've created this little network, the subnet, where miners are going to be competing to earn rewards. So it's tailored for AI agents that can handle blockchain data. The reason we did this is that Web3 is at risk of missing out on the massive current wave that is agentic AI. We're seeing it take over a lot of industries and improve, I guess, a lot of industries. So for us to survive in Web3, firstly, and really thrive, we need to embrace AI for all the power that it has. But the current large language model approach for GraphQL agents is too expensive and too slow. And GraphQL is that kind of cornerstone of blockchain data. It's how we query the blockchain. So Hermes changes that by introducing GraphQL agents that are capable of automatically retrieving, analyzing, and responding to blockchain data in real time. And what we do, or how we do it, is by rewarding miners and validators. So those are specifically subnet participants. So if you're familiar with subquery and the subquery network, we have our network of participants, stakers, delegators, node operators, and consumers. Whereas in the subnet, there's miners and validators. So we reward the miners and delegators for their contributions. And Hermes overall creates an ecosystem where AI agents continuously to evolve to deliver better performance at lower cost, because that's essentially the issue right now with the current LLM approach for GraphQL agents, which is, like I said above, they're too expensive and they're too slow. So Hermes is coming in to solve that issue so that blockchain projects can use GraphQL agents in a more functional, feasible, lower cost, better performance way. Next, why did we chose to do it? So why is subquery perfectly positioned to create the subnet? So as I mentioned, we've been around a few years. We've been shaping the way developers access blockchain data since 2021, February, coming up to our 5-year anniversary. So it's pretty much a lifetime in crypto and blockchain. That's 5 years of helping builders across 300 network, including Tau stats. I meant to write including BitTensor there. And then I wanted to just tell a story about how Tau stats were one of our first customers on BitTensor. So imagine that says BitTensor. We had Tau stats using subquery, and one of the devs there actually reached out to me today and was like, hey, what a cool full circle moment. I was one of the first to use subquery on BitTensor, and now subquery has come to BitTensor. Tau stats actually ended up building a crazy infrastructure layer internally that they wanted full control over and everything. So I don't think they're using subquery in the same capacity anymore, because they had just such a detailed data layer. They needed full control, managed and built all in-house. But for a while there, we worked closely with the Tau stats team, and we could see already how passionate and enthusiastic and intelligent the BitTensor ecosystem was based on the Tau stats team. All those years we've spent optimizing GraphQL infrastructure and decentralizing data services. That's with the subquery network that I mentioned. So we're applying that expertise to connect blockchain data directly with AI. The formula, I guess, is subquery's expertise plus BitTensor's incentive model equals Hermes, which is ultimately a network where AI agents can continuously learn, evolve, and deliver smarter, faster blockchain experiences. So like I said, Hermes, the messenger god, connecting blockchain data and AI. Okay, so just want to briefly go above Hermes, I guess, or the users of Hermes, which is GraphQL agents, like I've mentioned. So that's AI that can answer your blockchain questions, and we have open sourced our GraphQL agent. So we've built this, we've open sourced it so that projects can come along and create their own GraphQL agent that will then be what's called like an authorized caller of Hermes, or a user of Hermes, to make sure those agents are, performing well, staying up to date, doing everything they're supposed to do. They need Hermes to continue to be that kind of training ground and fine tuning for their GraphQL agents. So ultimately what it allows you to do is chat with an agent in plain English about on-chain data. So, Talstats, for example, could have a GraphQL agent that's using Hermes to make sure their GraphQL agent stays up to date and accurate on all the data that goes on within Talstats. And then people can come in, or the Talstats team can come in and ask those agents, like, what are the top 5 ranked subnets right now? Or ask questions about that data in plain English instead of writing a complex GraphQL query, which, if you're like me or an average Joe, you don't know how to write these queries. We just want to ask in plain English. So it supports both subquery and subgraph projects. You might have heard that number 50,000. That I think was in 2023 we found that number, or that was the most recent number we could find, was from 2023, which was the number of subquery indexer projects and subgraph projects, which, if you're not familiar, that's the graph. You might have heard of the graph. So index is built using the graph technology or subquery technology. 50,000 was the number that we found. So imagine being able to have a GraphQL AI agent on top of all those data sets where you can just ask questions about the data in plain, simple English. Well, that's what Hermes is going to allow you to do. So like I said, also LLM agnostic. So there's different large language models and it's completely agnostic. And like I said, these GraphQL agents would be users of Hermes, like Ask Subquery. So we built our very own GraphQL agent that really shows off the capability and is going to be the very first authorized caller of Hermes, which is like user, basically, in simple speak. First product connected to Hermes will be our subquery. So we announced this a couple weeks ago, actually last month, 1 month ago, I believe, first in closed beta, and then we opened it up completely to the public about a week ago. So you can go to oursubquery.xyz. I will write it here in the chat, and you can try it out. It's fully open now. And what you can do is easily connect AI agents to blockchain data. It's the first product to connect to Hermes subnet as an authorized caller. And you can lock SQT to get more daily credits. So that is where SQT comes in here. And it's powered by that open source GraphQL agent that I mentioned before. That is the only element of SQT, and it's not like super relevant. If you're coming in as a BitTensor enthusiast and you're worried about the dual token aspect, SQT has an element, a feature within our subquery, but our subquery is built on top of Hermes. It's essentially us showing the power of Hermes and showing off what Hermes can do, and also building something that we needed to exist, which was our subquery. We're really proud and excited of what our subquery is able to do, and it made sense to weave in SQT into that, but it's not part of Hermes. It sits on top. It's a user of Hermes. Which brings me to dual token project, little vomit emoji, because I know about the concerns that the BitTensor community has. So let's talk about it. Firstly, Hermes does not require SQT to function. There is no bridge with SQT. There's no forced lock-in. There's no value siphoning between the two tokens. They are completely separate tokens operating on separate network, separate incentives. SQT, subquery network, alpha token SN82 is for our subnet. So the Hermes subnet 82 participants are awarded purely through BitTensor mechanics. And we do have 2 tokens, but we have one single focus. That's why it made sense for us to build this. That's why it's not a conflicting focus or priority for our team, because ultimately these 2 products are working towards the same mission. It just makes sense. It's easy for us to hone in on both of these things. So personally, don't think there should be absolutely any concern. We have the 2 tokens. They're completely separate, and we have the team and capability to work on both. And yeah, there's no overlap. People have been talking about extraction. There's no, and not at least technical or mechanism built in for extraction. If I guess one can influence the other. For example, I don't think it's any secret that when we announced the subnet, there was some price action with SQT. That's going to happen naturally when people speak and suspect and, speculation. Everyone loves a bit of speculation in crypto. So that is natural, but there's no actual relation. And yeah, really the only thing that relates us is the team behind it. And it just makes perfect sense for us. We're still on our mission for blockchain data and to help developers, so it makes sense for us to be on that mission with both projects. Okay, opening up now for a little bit of Q&A. This is, like I say, a little bit shorter than our usual community calls. I tend to babble on for a good 25 minutes and then have a few minutes for Q&A at the end. But this one, we're really just focusing in on Hermes, what we've launched, why we launched it, why Subquery launched it, why you don't need to stress about it being a dual token project. However, we are here, we're available on the best place I would say to reach us is Subnet 82 channel on the BitTensor Discord. I'm going to link it in the chat here, and we'll have our team available. I'm going to answer whatever questions I can in the chat right now. If there's anything I can't answer, because full disclosure, we've just launched recently. I am the head of marketing, and BitTensor it's a whole new ball game, and it's fairly technical, but we have experts in the team. So if I can't answer anything here, you can go into that Discord channel on the BitTensor's Discord, which is specifically related to Subnet 82, or you can go to Subquery's Discord or Subquery's Telegram or Subquery's Twitter. We're here and available. We want to answer questions and make sure everyone understands what we're doing. Okie dokie. Couple questions on how to buy Alpha token, and I can send a link here. We'll send the Tau market cap link that will help you with everything you need to know about our subnet alpha token and all the other subnet alpha tokens. But I believe it's all a mechanism to do with swapping your Tau. So you would need to originally buy Tau, then you can come in, swap it for subnet 82 alpha tokens, and then use those tokens to vote on projects to be selected in the subnet, or I guess as your average person, you'll be voting on projects. Otherwise, obviously, if you're a validator, you'll be rewarded in alpha tokens. If you're a miner, you'll be rewarded in alpha tokens. If you want to learn more about mining and validating and those roles, and especially if you're obviously technical and if you're already part of the BitTensor ecosystem, then let me send our GitHub. That's where you can find everything, all the technical documentation. You can also find our light paper there, which I will link in the channel as well. And we'll be tweeting that out shortly as well. Oh, sorry. Someone said my keyboard is very loud, so sorry about that. I should try and stop typing. All right, I'm just going to send the light paper through while we wait to see if anyone has any more questions. I was expecting an influx of questions. What is the revenue model for the subnet? How do you think you can bring back the value to the BitTensor ecosystem? And I recognize your username because I've seen a couple of tweets from you. I think you've asked on Twitter, maybe in the Discord, but I think it was on Twitter, and I've made a note to reply to you on Twitter as well. So I'll come back to you there most likely tomorrow. It is getting late in the evening for me here in New Zealand. But essentially, the revenue model, like I say, is going to be those users of subgraphs and subquery projects that have indexes, which is ultimately most Web3 projects, especially most established Web3 projects, you need some sort of data infrastructure. So you will be a user of likely subquery or the graph, and potentially we can add more, data sources. If you've heard of other ones like Subsquid or Goldski or Envia or any of those, we might consider adding more of those in the future. For now, it's subquery and subgraph indexes, and people that are users of those will want these GraphQL agents. So they will come in and be users. As for exactly how the revenue and charging works, I might need to dig in for a bit more details. More details there. And we definitely check out the GitHub if it's not in there already. But I will speak to Ian and the team as well about coming back with a more official answer there. I think bringing back value back to the BitTensor ecosystem, that's twofold. Firstly, subquery supports Substrate, which is ultimately what BitTensor is. So all of those subnets, if they need a data indexer, they should definitely reach out to us and we can help them with subquery. And on the other side, in terms of the Hermes subnet, we can help with GraphQL agents, of course, for any of the subnets if they have that need. And there'll be other subnets that we want to collaborate with as well, for sure. I think we're already speaking to a few. So we really want to get stuck into the BitTensor ecosystem. We can already see the passion and the enthusiasm. So we're excited to be here. We're excited to be part of the journey. We're excited for, there's been a few questions and queries and dual token project concerns and whatnot. And it's cool to be part of somewhere where people genuinely care, whether it's positive or negative, we want to hear it. All righty. Someone said, is alpha tradable? No, not traditionally, not on exchanges. Like I say, it's Tau. Have a look at Tau, though, the Tau token, if you're curious. And go check them out on the exchanges, and then you can swap it for alpha. You might be able to swap alpha tokens with other alpha tokens. Probably someone in this chat will know better than me, but you can't swap. You can't trade SN82 alpha token on exchanges. Okay, I think that might be us for now. If you do have any more questions, just reach out on any of our channels. If you want to talk specifically about the subnet, then I would recommend joining the BitTensor Discord and reaching out on the SN82 channel. We're there every day. Most of our team is based in New Zealand, so just be aware of it's pretty funny time difference with a lot of the world. And otherwise, you can join the Subquery Telegram channel, Subquery Discord, and send your questions through there. If I can't answer them, I will pull in some of the dev team to help me as well. And like I say, it's getting late in the evening here, so shoot those questions through, and if I don't see them today, I'll reply to them first thing tomorrow. But thank you everyone for joining, and we are really excited about Hermes and the potential here and being part of the BitTensor ecosystem.